What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Never Fail, and we are back in the wild world of Call of Duty 4 here, and I'm almost ready to prestige. I believe I'm level 50 on this game now, but I'm not really going to talk about this gameplay too much. I really want to discuss what I would like to see in Black Ops 2, because we all know it's coming, despite Activision's best efforts to keep the information from becoming public like we don't already know there's a new one coming out in November. Anywho, oh, look at that perfect team balancing. But anywho, Black Ops 2, what do we need to get back to? You know, some people had high hopes for Modern Warfare 3, and those were dashed in my opinion, but I'm not going to bash Modern Warfare 3. I want to talk about how we can improve upon Call of Duty, and the way to go about doing that is, in my opinion, to try to have better balance. And how do you create better balance? It's all in your perks, your kill streaks, your guns, all that good stuff. First and foremost, something that Black Ops 1, the first Black Ops did not do very well, was gun balance. And that's something I believe really needs to be improved upon. You shouldn't have a gun that has a faster fire rate than every other gun, but yet does pretty much the same damage as all the other guns with minimal recoil on top of that. Ooh, almost had a 3-piece and got noob too. But the FAMAS did the same damage as any other gun, had better range than any other submachine guns, yet had just as good as fire rate as any gun outside of the stoner. Or if you put rapid fire on a submachine gun, it would give it a slightly better fire rate, but it didn't have the range or the damage than the that the FAMAS had. So that's something that needs to be corrected, and I'm sure that can be worked on fairly easily. Mainly, my opinion would be, I guess if you have a gun with a faster fire rate, it should do less damage. I wasted all my bullets there for no reason. But if you have a gun with a super fast fire rate, the faster the fire rate, the less the damage the gun does. And the slower the fire rate, the more damage the gun does. Single shot weapons are a little tricky in that regard, because you get into people with fast trigger fingers, and I understand putting a fire rate cap, but then you also get into modded controllers, and that's when that becomes an issue. But that's a totally separate issue. Single shot weapons, precision weapons, I believe should always do damage. I mean, should it take at least 2 bursts to kill somebody with a burst weapon? I absolutely believe so. It should always take at least 2 bursts. And with a single shot weapon, it should always take 2 to 3 bullets, depending on where they hit them. I don't believe a headshot should be a one-shot kill with anything other than a sniper rifle. And shotguns is another thing you got to touch on, and it's kind of hard to balance shotguns. I believe within their effective range, which their effective range should be less than that of a submachine gun, which it should be shotgun, submachine gun, assault rifle, and LMG and assault rifles probably have the same effective range, but the LMG should do a little less damage in my opinion to compensate for having a larger clip size. And definitely LMG should definitely have a larger clip size. You shouldn't have a 30 round clip in an LMG. I'm sorry, that defeats the purpose of moving so slow with an LMG. But shotgun, submachine gun, assault rifle, LMG, and then your sniper rifles. Now, I believe if you were able to do that and have it where the faster fire rate, the less damage the gun does, and the slower the fire rate, the more damage the gun does, that would counterbalance the fact that people like to use high fast fire rate weapons that do great damage. So that would balance that out to where every gun can be usable. That is definitely something that Infinity Ward has accomplished in all 3 of their games that I've played, is all the guns are pretty much usable. Now you should have then you'd have to discuss perk balance, and perk balance is definitely definitely a touchy subject for most people, because of one simple perk, and that would be something that keeps you off the radar, like Ghost, Assassin, UAV Jammer, Camouflage, anything like that. And bear with me a moment, I'm trying to find my lighter here. Cigarette went out. But that's a touchy subject, and that's definitely, Somebody sitting there text messaging me while I'm doing a commentary. They're ruining it. But as far as is concerned with perk balance, I don't believe perk balance is that hard to really pull off. Quite frankly, I mean, everything just needs to have a counter to it. Sit rep pro and ninja, or sit rep pro and ninja. If you're using ninja, sit rep pro, you should be able to hear them like normal footsteps, but that hasn't happened yet. And maybe there's an issue with coding on stuff like that makes it damn near impossible to pull that off. I don't know. Personally, if you can't balance it out, it doesn't need to be in the game. In my opinion, if you can't figure out a way to counterbalance out ninja, then just take ninja out and where nobody and then have it where there's no perk that allows you to not be hurt. I guess I would say have it where there's no perk that makes enemy footsteps louder and no perk that makes it where you can't be heard. If you can't figure out a way to balance it out any other way, that would balance it out. Same thing with something like Juggernaut and Stopping Power. I'd like to see both of those come back, because mainly I'd like to see Juggernaut come back for people who like to snipe, and that way they can't just bullshit you, get lucky with a fucking no scope or something like that. They'd have to do it twice. Plus, I think Juggernaut would be a good perk for a shotgun user. Put Juggernaut on with Marathon Pro, and that's something that definitely needs to come back, is unlimited sprint. But there needs to be a counter to everything, so if you're going to put Juggernaut in the game, Stopping Power needs to be there to counter that. And with something like Ghost or Assassin, there needs to be a counter to it. And Recon, I believe, took a step toward that. But where I believe they failed with Recon was you had to either get explosive or bullet damage on them in order to make them show up. Now, if you want to do a perk to counter that, just do a Recon perk to where if you're using Recon and put them in the same tier, and somebody's using Ghost, then whenever a spy plane's called in, if you're using Recon, they're using Ghost, then they show up on your radar. And I believe that balances it out perfectly. If there's a perk that makes a Ghost player show up on your radar that is in the same tier as Ghost, then you have to use one or the other, and it becomes, in my opinion, it becomes balanced, because there's a counter to it. There's a legitimate counter to it that doesn't involve getting an 8 kill streak. And then that's another thing you got to get into is kill streaks. Kill streaks definitely need to be there. And I believe customized kill streaks need to be there. But at the same time, if you look at a game like Call of Duty 4, and the general consensus is this is the most popular and the best Call of Duty that they have made, in my opinion, the reason for that is it's mostly gun on gun, because none of the kill streaks are user controlled and nothing is terribly overpowered. Now, is the attack chopper strong? Yes. Is there no lock on launcher to shoot it down with? That's fine. But I believe the way you balance out kill streaks, in my opinion, is go back to 357, but keep the custom ability with kill streaks. Have multiple options for each. This way you don't have people stacking, trying to always go for high kill streaks every game, because in my opinion that tends to lead to a little more camping. You got some players who are really good and can do it without camping, yes, but most people want to get those type of kill streaks and do work with them, and they camp to get them. So go 357, you use multiple give multiple options for each, and I mean you could do something like spy plane, counter UAV, SAM turret for perk, or for 3 kill streak. You could do something like napalm, predator missile, and I don't know, and I totally ran by somebody right there, but napalm, predator missile, and I don't know what else, whatever else you'd like to throw in, maybe a sentry gun, or I can't really think of another good 5 kill streak at the moment, so sorry about that, but sentry gun, something like that. And then for the 7 you could do chopper, dogs, or blackbird. Non-stacking, of course, and no hardline perk, because blackbird would have a counter, and god dang boy, they just keep messaging me. Blackbird would have a counter and all that good stuff, but yeah, you'd have to do it without the kill streak stacking. You'd have to take away hardline so they couldn't cheese their way to a Blackbird. Plus, people couldn't complain it's overpowered because a 3-kill streak would counter an 8-kill streak. Anyway, I'll come up with some more here in the next video. Thanks for watching.